he stayed a little bit with my family. And then he said, okay, I'm going to the bedroom to read a book and have a cup of tea. And everybody was like, what's going on? Is he okay? If they don't go out for a weekend, for example, they feel lonely, like there's something wrong with me. In our heads, we are conservative. We have the time for fun, and then we have to find someone to marry, have kids. And because of that, I think men have this thinking of classifying women. They're stuck in that.
Welcome to another episode of the Dating Beyond Borders podcast. Today's guest, Gabriela, is a certified psychologist from Sao Paulo, Brazil. She is also in an intercultural relationship with a British man for 10 years. So I'm excited to welcome her to the show and to discuss what she has discovered about the Brazilian culture through her work in psychology, as well as hear her own personal story of someone deep in an intercultural relationship. So welcome, Gabriela. It's really lovely to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here. It's a pleasure to talk about this.
So I would love to hear a little bit more about you. And first of all, where do you live in Brazil? And what do you do as a psychologist? What does your work involve?
Okay, I'm from Sao Paulo and I'm a clinical psychologist. I have my clients at the clinic and I treat them, mostly women and trouble relationships.
Interesting. So we just filmed a couple of videos in Rio. And whenever you create videos in Rio, people get really angry because they start saying, oh, well, you're always assuming as foreigners that Rio represents the whole of Brazil, but it does not. And I would love to hear as a Paulista, which is, I guess, the term for being from Sao Paulo. What are the differences in culture between, let's say, Sao Paulo and some of the other areas in Brazil, or maybe specifically with Rio?
Okay, perfect. Yes, it's Paulista. I am Paulista because I'm from Sao Paulo. And it's different because mainly here we don't have in the city, Sao Paulo city, we don't have beach. So we have a different way of living our lives. We have a different accent as well, and it's different from all the other parts of the country because it's a huge country, lots of states with different accents, different ways of viewing the world and personalities and cultures and everything, different food as well. And that's it. I think here in Sao Paulo, we are known by working all the time, workaholics. It's a financial center. And Rio de Janeiro is a working place, of course, as well. But they are known by living a great life with beach all the time, sunny and everything. For example, we don't use Havaiana, the flip-flops, the famous Brazilian flip-flops. We are not used to wear this in Sao Paulo all the time. Otherwise, in Rio de Janeiro, they can go anywhere with flip-flops. So I think it's a small cultural difference, but it's important.
Yeah, I think it's really important when we are comparing a city that has a beach and you have the beach lifestyle,
Yes.
like you said, like a very casual, laid back, fun beach life. Something you have a working city like Sao Paulo, which is, I guess, more of a New York type of vibe, right? Like it's a big city,
Yeah.
people are in a rush. You're not going to be walking Havaianas to the beach and having drinks and, just chilling. Though I guess you still party a lot because I think that's just in Brazil in general. I think party is a big part of the culture, but you work a
Sure.
lot as well.
Yes, sure. We like to party here in Sao Paulo and just to chill and enjoy life, of course. But it's different, from here where you can find people wearing bikinis and flip-flops anywhere, any day, any weekday and everything. And here in Sao Paulo, we are more okay, week hours, working hours. We need to dress properly, we need to be focused, and that's it.
Yeah, and also I suppose when it comes to dating, if we have to generalize, but I feel like Cariocas, they have this vibe that it's a Carioca vibe, oh, they're just smooth talkers and they are more,
Yes.
fun loving. And there is a stereotype that relationships are harder to find in Rio as opposed to maybe other places in Brazil are a little bit serious. What do you think about that? Is that a true stereotype?
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know about that. I know that Carioca accent is more smoothy and they are more flexible, I think.
yeah.
They are
I
more
think
informal, casual and informal, I think. But I didn't know about that. It's harder to find a dating or a relationship in Rio than the other parts of the country. I
mm,
never heard about that.
your husband is a Brit. He's from
Yes.
London. So I would love to hear the story of how you two met and whether you met in Brazil or whether you met abroad. So,
We met abroad. It's a funny story actually because I have a friend, a girlfriend. She went to London to study a few years ago and she met a guy, a British guy as well. And Freddie, my husband, was his friend. They used to live together in the same shared house. And I went to visit my friend during New Year's week. Um, Fred heard I was going to be there and we were going to a party. So we decided to go to a party, a New Year's Eve party together. Me, my friend, her boyfriend, and Fred. I saw Fred once before, a year and a half before that, but he was not speaking to me. I don't know why. He was too shy, looking to his feet, not looking at me, not talking. And I thought, okay, he just didn't like me. That's fine. A year and a half later, I went back to London to visit my friend and spend New Year's with her. And I found Fred on Tinder. At the same night, we were going to see each other. It was New Year's Eve, and I met him. We had met, and I was like, just for fun, because we're going to meet anyway. And I told him, "Oh, let's see each other tonight." Like, of course, we're going to see each other. We're going to the same part. But Fred took it seriously. Um, and Brazilians, we are not attached to time. Like we have a meeting at 8, that's fine, but 8 can be 8:30, maybe 9. It's polite to be late here, actually, because no one is on time. But rich people, they are really on time. So we decided the guys was going to my friend's house to pick us up to the party at 8. At 8, me and my friend, we were laying on the bed, in the bed, with towels on our head, wet hair, not ready at all to the party. And they were knocking the door, and we said, "Okay, we need to get ready really quickly. Come on, come on, come on!" And I wanted Fred to see me going out the room with wind in my hair, very beautiful, pretty, and everything. But I got my hair dirty of lipstick before getting ready, and I tried to go to the bathroom that night just to clean it up. And when I was leaving the room, the door closed on my finger and smashed it. So Fred didn't see me pretty. He saw me laying on the floor, passing away or out, out,
out.
out, passing out. I was not dead, passing out like that. And when I woke up, there was blood on the floor. My finger was half to the side, half to the side. My friend was trying to wrap it and something just to stop
From
blood.
pouring out.
Yes. And we went to the hospital and I had a surgery the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, but I went to the party. They gave me some morphine and
You literally just confirmed the Brazilian stereotype right there. I had blood oozing out of my finger. I was dying, but then I went to the party.
yes, I went to the party. I just asked at the hospital some medicine or something. They gave me antibiotics and morphine for the pain. And they just said, "Okay, you can go to the party, but come here the next day for a surgery." I said, "Okay, okay, next day we see that. That's fine. Just let's go to the party because there's a very handsome guy waiting for me outside and I need to be at that party tonight." I went to the party and we stayed together and we are together until now. 10 years
Wow.
now. Yeah.
What a story. Was he at the hospital when you were there, or is he waiting for you at the party?
No, he went to the hospital with us.
Wow.
My
That's
friend, her boyfriend and him.
I think that's a much better story than just meeting someone on Tinder and going out and then just sitting
Yes.
across from each other. Like you have such a story, you know? It really is like a movie
Yes.
situation.
And because of that, I had few more days in London because I have an insurance. And the insurance took care of me. And the insurance said, you can't go back to Brazil until we are sure you were fine. I said, okay, I can stay here a few more days. And I spent there with Fred. And it was really nice. Very nice days.
So, how was the relationship with Fred progressing then? You were in London and then you went back to Brazil and you had a long distance relationship?
Yes, I came back to the last day I was in London with him. We talked and we said, okay, we want to try to be together. We want to try to see what's going on, what's going to happen with us. Let's be together. That's fine. I came back to Brazil. When I landed, Fred sent me a message saying, okay, I booked tickets to go to Brazil in few days, like 40 days from now. It was going to be carnival here in Brazil. And he came for carnival few days after that. I think 40 or 50 days after I arrived in Brazil. And he met my whole family at the same day because we were going to the beach with my family in an apartment. We rent an apartment and we took Fred at the airport and went right away to the beach with my whole family. It was an intensive Brazilian experience for him.
Interesting.
And
So,
he didn't speak any Portuguese. It's important to say that.
what was, in your opinion? I mean, you've probably dated Brazilians only up until the point of dating Fred. Is that correct?
Yes, only Brazilians.
So, what were there any stark differences that you've noticed when you started dating him? Like, oh, this is different. This has never happened to me before.
Yes, it's weird until now, actually, because here in Brazil we are very communicative. I'm used to guys that likes to gossip with me to talk about everything. I was always talking to my boyfriends before, to my ex's boyfriends before Fred. We are very family here in Brazil. We enjoy staying with family and together all the time with friends, with family. I can't remember some day that I'm totally alone or in silent. And when Fred arrived, he stayed a little bit with my family at this apartment at the beach. And then he said, okay, I'm going to the bedroom to read a book and have a cup of tea. And everybody was like, what's going on? Is he okay? Gabi, go there and check him. I think he's not fine. And I was all the time, Freddie, are you fine? Are you okay? Do you want to talk about this? And Fred was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just sitting here reading a book. And I was like, why? My whole family is out there at the room. Why are you not there with them? So I think it's really weird because he needs time to be quiet, have a cup of tea in the middle of summer, which is really weird as well. And he likes to stay in silence sometimes. And he doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't gossip, which is very, very weird for me.
That's something that really plays into how culture really shapes who we are, you know, because like for Brazilians, you're right, it's a very social country and very social culture. You need to spend time with people and
Mhm.
talking and having fun, and friends and family is super important. And then you have Brits that are a lot more reserved and like they don't talk to their family as often. It's not that much of a thing there. So that's really
Yes.
interesting. So has it been difficult for him as well, like getting used to life in Brazil? Because he's been here for 6 years, you said.
Here in Brazil for
Yes, for 8 years.
9 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost 9 years. Yes, eight
Wow.
to 9 years. Yes. I think people here, my family and friends, they took a while to understand Fred's way of talking, of socializing, of being quiet. And they are, even now, actually, they have been knowing him forever now, but they sometimes think he's mad or sad or upset with something. And actually, he's just being himself, being quiet. And for me as well, sometimes I'm very concerned because he's not talking to me. What happened? And then I need to take a breath and remember he's just British. He's not mad. That's fine.
That should be like a slogan. He's not mad. He's just British.
Oh yes,
We should make a shirt with that and you can give it to him. I'm not mad. I'm just British.
yes, a T-shirt written that.
Yeah, I always find this conversation so interesting because there is a stereotype of Brits being more reserved. And actually, in the
Mhm.
last video that I posted, one of the Brazilian girls said that, yeah, I dated a British guy and he was really cold. And I don't know, I kind of find Brits right in the middle because I feel like there are countries that are much colder, like Sweden or Denmark or Norway. Like they're very cold. But compared to the Brazilian, which is the extreme, opposite of
Yes.
that, it's like the most social people in the world, in my personal opinion. Yeah,
Mhm.
Brazilians, you can meet them, and right off the bat, they're going to tell you everything about themselves and ask you a million questions. And it's like you know each other,
Yeah.
you really get close very, very fast. Um, do you feel like you could live in the UK, or are you guys going to settle here?
We are settled here in Brazil. I
Yeah.
lived in the UK with Fred in our first year together. Actually, our first year together was not together because I we had visa issues and everything, so we were apart. But the second year together, I went to London to live with Fred for a year. No, not for me. Sorry. It's a very nice country. I love to visit there. His family was living there for some years. They don't live there anymore. His parents live now in south of France, and his sister lives in North Italy, close to south of France. Yes, but we used to go to England every year, and I love to visit, but to live is not for me because I'm very communicative. I love to do that. You said making friends in a queue. I'm just staying here at this bank queue, and I'm going to talk to anyone. And I missed that when I was there. So, and the cold, yes, and the rain, yes.
Yeah. I find it interesting that all of his family has decided that they prefer to live in the south. Like he
Yeah.
lives in Brazil, someone lives in the south of France, someone lives in Italy. So like no one actually wants to be in the UK. And I find it's interesting as well when it comes to Brits because Brits are very realistic people and very cynical people, like if something is you're doing great and you're really happy, they're gonna look at you like, well, why are you so happy? Like they're kind of they'll bring you down to earth. Like they're kind of, I don't want to say unhappy people because it really depends as well where you go. But at least I find in London, like people are very, maybe it's the weather as well. It just makes you miserable when it's raining all the time and
Yes.
everything is kind of gray and it really affects you.
Yeah, Fred says that all the time that the gray and the rain and the cold, they make people feel miserable or not so openly. They just want to go home and have a cup of tea and be quiet and everything.
But when it comes to, let's say, England, was there something that you wish Brazilians did more of? Was there something in the culture that you said, or even while dating Fred, is there something that you really love about the British mentality that you wish
Mhm.
Brazilians had more of?
Well, I wish we were more honest with each other because despite we are very communicative, we are not that honest. Because I don't know. I think if we could mix and be in a middle term, it would be amazing. Because here in Brazil, when we talk to people when in a friendship or relationship, we are not honest about what we feel because we don't want to hurt someone else. So we have this talking, dancing to make sure everybody is comfortable and I'm not in showing too much of me if it's going to hurt someone. A simple example for just to illustrate that, if I'm eating something, I must offer you, even though I don't want you to take it. And the other person, the person needs to say, oh no, fake, thank you. Even though you want to take something of what I am eating, I need to offer you 3 times. So you will be sure that it's okay to take it. But if I offer you 3 times, even though you don't want to take it, you should take, because it's polite, because I really want you to try what I am eating. So it's difficult to understand. It's something I was always mad with Fred when he came here, because if someone offers him something, he always say yes. Or if someone offers him something 3 times, he always say no. And I'm like, no, you take it, but I don't want. Doesn't matter. She wants you to try that. Just try that and say it's amazing. But it's not amazing. I don't care. Just say it's amazing, because it's important to this person. Listen, it's amazing. So we have this communicative dancing, and sometimes it's hard to understand what we want, what is the other people limits. We are not used to hear other people limits as well. If some friend doesn't want to go out with me for some reason, she needs to invent an excuse, a social acceptable excuse, like I'm sick at the doctor, I can't go see you. I will say, oh, okay. But if she says, no, I don't want to go, I'm tired, I just want to stay at home, it's going to hurt me. I'm going to say, oh, you prefer to stay at home by yourself, but not going out with me. I can't believe that. And I think British people, they are honest about that, and they just don't care. Not the people, the person who is talking doesn't care. The people who is listening doesn't care. Fred just say no so easily for everything. I feel so invalidated. His family does that as well. And it's really weird for me when I'm there, because we don't do this in Brazil. But I think if we could mix and find a balance between that, it would be nice. Like saying no, honestly, but talking about that, and not just saying some excuse that's not the truth, or going somewhere even though I don't want to be there just to make someone happy. It would be nice to find a balance between
Yeah.
the
I
two
think
point of views.
I think it's very interesting that you say that because, in Europe, Brits are considered to be the most polite and the most careful with their words. So I find it's always very interesting what you compare it to. Because, for example, if you compare the Brits to the Dutch people, and I'm sure Fred, if he's listening to that, he can really agree to that, because Dutch people are very direct with their words. And if they don't like something, they'll always say, no, this is bad. This is terrible. And I remember I always bring this example up. I was dating a Dutch guy and I was living in Portugal. And I remember he had to communicate for his work, and they would send him emails like, hey, what do you think about this and this? And he would say, yeah, this is a terrible idea. And I was like, you cannot talk to people like that, especially in Portugal, because in Portugal, there's still a bit of that, art of kind of saying, how is your mom doing? How's your dad doing? How are you doing? How's your family doing? Oh, let's have a little bit of a conversation, like for 10 minutes talking about this small talk, before we get to the business. But he had no patience. And he was like, I don't want to waste my time. This is my work. I'm going to tell them directly, because this is not efficient. Nothing gets
Yes.
done. And we even had a conversation. We had a friend from Spain, and she was saying, and when we come to work, it's very normal for us to have coffee, to walk around, to talk to friends, to talk to coworkers, sorry, to say, hey, how are you doing? And then we work, and then we have a bit of coffee. And he's like, I don't understand that. That's not efficient. You come to work, and you socialize after work. And but when it comes to, let's say, Brits, they're again, like as you said, compared to Brazilians, they're very it almost feels like rude, right? Because Brazilians are on a whole other level of being very polite and being very positive as well. So I love that this is such a difference in culture, because they're still very dry, right? Like very dry with their answers. If you
Yes.
compare it to the Latin American, like very positive.
Yeah, I think they are polite. Fred's very polite, and his family is very polite, but they are directly and honest. That's weird for me, and a bit inflexible to what I'm used to. I heard about this thing about Dutch people, and I think it might be worse for Brazilians to relate with Dutch people, maybe. But with a British, you're saying they are more polite and everything. It's weird sometimes for me. I don't think they are not polite. They are just direct and honest. And it's scary sometimes. Like, really, you don't care about me? No, I do care about you, but I don't want to do what you're saying or what you want. Oh, you don't want to do what I want. What's that? Because here in Brazil, it's so hard to tell someone you don't want to do what the person wants to. It's, oh my God, I need to tell my friend I'm not going out today. No, but I'm going to say yes. I will change my mind until the time of going out. Okay, no, I didn't change my mind. So what am I going to do? I need to tell her something. It's hard. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to say I don't want to go out with her because what I want is not that important from her perspective. It's how our mind thinks.
So it's kind of like people pleasing, right? You have
Yes,
so much empathy for how the other person might react, and you want to be liked as well. You don't want to, you don't, yeah, as you said, you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but you also, I think what happens is you start to overpromise. So you'll say, yeah, let's do coffee, but you don't actually want to do it, but you don't
yes,
know how else to say it. You don't want to just be quiet because that's awkward. So you say things, and then when the time comes, maybe you don't even go. That's what I heard about Brazil as well. And that's like the biggest issue for foreigners when they come, because a lot of foreigners, especially Europeans, they take things literally. Oh, you said you're
yes.
going to have coffee with me. Okay, well, I'll be there in a month at 6 o'clock on the dot, eager to have coffee with you. But then you cancel last minute. Why?
Yes.
You know, and it's this what you're talking about.
Yeah, Fred takes everything so seriously, and I need to tell him, no, we are not invited to their house. No, but they said, no, that's not the, no, they don't want us there. Believe me, it's just polite to say, come to my home. We are going to travel together. We're going to have coffee tomorrow, but we are not. Actually, yesterday I went to see some friends with Fred. When we said goodbye, goodbye to everybody, my girlfriend, she said, okay, let's have coffee tomorrow. And said, okay, of course. And Fred is ready to have coffee with her, but we are not going to have coffee with her today. Of course not. I know we are not going. She knows we are not going.
So you can tell when it's being said just to say something.
Yes,
How can you tell the difference between the two?
because it's the same logical that offering things and saying no to things. If you really want to schedule something with a Brazilian person, we say it's for real. Okay, we're going to schedule this. Let's go for coffee tomorrow. What time? Okay, 16 in the afternoon. Okay, 16 it will be. So we are going to see each other at that place. I'm going to pick you up at your home and that's it. So we plan it. We know it's for real because we say lots of times it's for real. We are going to check the next day. Okay, is it everything right for this afternoon? We are going to meet. Okay, we are going to meet. Okay, that's fine. We check a lot. We make sure it's okay. So I can tell if someone said, okay, let's see tomorrow. Okay, we see tomorrow. It's not for real. It's just being polite. It's just our way to say this night was very nice. Thank you for everything. We could do this again, but we are not going to schedule now. Fine. That's what is understood behind the roads.
Yeah.
So if a Brazilian really mean to invite you to something, the Brazilian is going to tell you all the time about this. It's going to make sure it's pointed that the time, the day, the place. We are going to check in the day just to make sure you're going to be there. It's not like, okay, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we see each other, and a week after that, that's scheduled for no, we need to check to make sure it's going to be okay.
So actually that stereotype that Brazilians just do everything last minute, is that not true then? Do you still then have to plan everything well in advance?
No, we don't like to plan.
But you just said that you need to plan well in advance.
What I mean is that even though we schedule something, we plan it with time and date and something and everything for a week later. When the day comes, we make sure it's really going to happen because everything can change anytime. And I think this is confusing for a British guy, which is used to plan everything with timing and minutes and day and people and everything.
Something really interesting is that I found these statistics, and apparently in 2021, the country to feel the loneliest was Brazil with 50%. And I was absolutely shocked because I was like, how is that even possible? But then I realized it was 2021. This was right after COVID.
Yes.
So, have you noticed as a psychologist? I mean, do people generally struggle with loneliness, do you find in Brazil? Or because it's such a social place, that's not really an issue?
No, it happens because let's think culturally. It's demanded that you have lots of friends and you are always going out with them, hanging out, dating people, and everything. And what I say with my clients is that if they don't go out for a weekend, for example, they feel lonely, like there's something wrong with me. I need to treat that. There's something wrong, actually, because culturally it's demanded that we are always hanging out, doing things and everything. So during COVID, I think what people struggled a lot here in Brazil was the socializing thing, being apart from their families, not seeing their parents, not seeing grandparents, not having a Christmas day or a Sunday lunchtime and everything. So I think we struggled with that. So it's not weird for me to hear that in 2021 people were feeling lonely here because we're not seeing each other as often as we used to do before.
That's very interesting that you mentioned that there is a huge pressure to have a lot of friends and to
Yes.
have a really like filling dating life as well. Have you found that, from the research that you do or the people that you talk to in your line of work, do you find that people feel that pressure to have it, to have the friends or to have this dating life?
Yes, a lot, a lot. I have clients that, because, when we talk about culture, we're not talking about everybody is exactly the same. Of course, we have introverts here in Brazil and people that don't like to socialize as much as the culture tells us to do. And I have some clients that they are introverts and they feel um, not at the right place because they want to stay at home and watch some Netflix and just enjoy themselves, but they feel they are doing something wrong all the time. They don't feel right. It's because they are watching on Instagram stories their friends going out and everybody seeing each everybody or dating someone or everything, and they just don't feel part of that. So yes, sometimes we need to talk about that. To
Yeah. It's very interesting how you can be wanting to do something. You can be living in a country that's more introverted, and that's okay. Like, I find countries like Scandinavia, people in the winter, like, they have no life. All they're doing is they're sitting at home watching Netflix, and that's it, like from, I don't know, November to March, April, you're basically
yes,
stuck in your homes. But it's kind of okay, even though people still struggle with depression, but it's okay because everybody's doing that. But if I think what gives us FOMO, that feeling of like, oh no, I'm missing out, is that, and the reason, and I would love to hear your thought on it. The reason that depression has skyrocketed like this is because we're seeing that other people are having a better life than we are. It's that expectation that life should be different. And we live it like culture, as you said, there's so many differences within the culture, but the culture tells us what's normal, the normal
Hmm.
of what we should be living up to. And I feel like Brazil has such a strong culture in terms of like, you're right, it's that like, oh, my friends are having fun, people are going out, I actually don't want to do that, but should I be doing that because that's what everyone else is doing? So am I doing something wrong? Am I a loser? Am I a freak? Do I not belong, you know? So, what are
Hmm.
your thoughts on this?
Yes, exactly that. Because uh, as human being, we are programmed. And I don't like this word program, but we are social, you know, and we want to be part of something, part of a group, to belong somewhere. We are, each of us are is insert in some cultures expectation. And here in Brazil, we have this socializing culture, going out every weekend. It's summer all the time in the most part of the country. Here in Sao Paulo, we have a little bit of winter, so it's okay to be at home sometimes when it's cold or raining. That's fine. But in Northeast, for example, you said about Recife. You went to Recife. It's summer all the time, every weekend, sunny, people going out, parties and beach and everything of that. So I think when someone is more introvert or is crossing a lifetime, crossing a part of their time, their life that's not that extrovert, or they are more introvert in that time of life, they feel not part of that, like a freak, a weird person. I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. And it's important for, as a clinical psychologist, to know about cultures, some cultural aspects of life, and how this culture manages our personalities, our expectations, our beliefs, our desires, and everything. And I need to talk to them about that, because sometimes it's just a culture pressure, and that's fine going against this pressure. That's not weird or something to be fixed. That's okay. But sometimes it's good to be part of it. So we need to find a balance between being an introvert and being part of this culture. You don't need to be totally part of that or totally away of that. We need to find some balance between that.
Yeah, I find it really interesting because a lot of my following is Brazilian, which is not a
No.
surprise because Brazilians love social media. And whenever
Yes.
you make any Brazilian content, like you're guaranteed you're going to get a whole bunch of subscribers. And what I find happens a lot is I make videos about different cultures. And sometimes I'll make a video I personally can't relate to that culture at all. For example, as I said, like more introverted countries like Scandinavia, that, where you can go days and days without talking to a single human being because people
Mhm.
don't interact. And everything is kind of created so that you can just be left alone. And I don't personally find that to be a positive because I feel like we are social creatures. We do need to be in
Yes.
that, in interacting with other humans. But then I get comments, and a lot of times comments from Brazilians specifically saying, I wish this was the country I was living in, because it cannot, as you said, it cannot
Mhm.
relate to, I cannot relate to that constant pressure to be surrounded by people. And also, people being in my business and just like not leaving me alone and gossiping. And, I just want to be on my own. So
Mhm.
I found that very interesting because, as you said, there are those people that just, they don't relate.
Yes, yes, because that's what I said. A culture is a, it's something like, yeah, it's something that makes us construct our beliefs, our personalities. But some people, they are more attached to that, and some people are more distant from that, and that's fine. That's normal. And what I think this culture here in Brazil has this pressure on people here. Like, if I don't like to hang out every single weekend, there's something wrong with me. So I wish to live in other place that no one's going to tell me that's the right way of living. I just want to be free, to be myself, to be alone, to be sad, to be cold, to be something, because I think this people, they don't feel part of it. They feel freak. They feel, okay, there's something wrong with me. Because culture is pressure as well. If you are attached to it, that's fine. You're not under pressure. But if you feel a little bit different, maybe you can feel you are not right, you are wrong, there's something wrong with you, or you are not at the right place, you need to move to other place to live the life you want to. But I think we can find balance between that, between being an introvert and living in a culture, an extrovert culture.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me when I used to go to high school, and I remember, like, when you're in high school, you feel like it's the whole world. There's nothing
Mhm.
else. It's your everything, that you have to fit into the walls of this high school. And then one day I went to check out a university, and I came back and it just seemed like super small, and you're like, what is this really that, it's just a high school, So I think that's kind of sometimes how we feel like under this pressure to belong somewhere, to fit into wherever we are. But
Mhm.
I'm interested with your line of work, like what kind of issues do people usually come to you with? And specifically, is there anything when it comes to relationships or dating that people are really struggling with in Brazil?
Yes, relationship is the main the main subject of the sessions, actually, because my clients, they are mostly women, and they are struggling to have a relationship with Brazilian guy. I think it's happening now because in the past few years, Brazilian women found an independence way of living, freedom and autonomy, and we are changing our minds and creations because my mother's generation was a generation of mothers that work, go out and had a job, had a career, take care of the home and the job and everything. And these mothers created their daughters, including me, to be free, to be independent, to be not to be a housekeeper or something. But I think for the guys, it didn't work that way. They are not developing as at the same point as the women are. So they don't like women with career, independent, and free to do everything, sexually free as well. So they like to use this freedom sexuality in human sexuality to have rapid and fast and easy sex, and that's it. But they don't want an independent woman with them. So I think this is the struggle now because women are very independent now, but the men are not used to that and they are not open to that. Not here in Brazil, not yet.
I find this is a really interesting topic because I think it's also very universal because around the world as well, what's starting to happen is just, and I was listening to a podcast yesterday about the same exact topic where it was like a woman was saying that, basically, yeah, women, we don't technically need a man anymore because now we have our jobs and, we can make money, we can raise a child on our own. It's not perfect, but we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like men actually don't feel needed. And of course,
I,
I mean, I think women still want to have a relationship, but maybe not for the reason that they want a man to provide for them or to
mm-hmm.
fix stuff around the house because now you can have someone else do that. So a lot of men are becoming, I think, really bitter and angry about that, and also really hostile, and also they feel useless as well because they're like, well, if I'm not needed, what's my role? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And I wonder in Brazil, there is a huge stereotype that Brazilian men cheat a lot as well. Like they're very much not looking for a committed relationship. They're just playing around. Whenever I have made videos about that, I'm always told, no, 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 this is Rio. This is Rio. So I would love to hear your thoughts on it because you don't live in Rio and your clients are not from Rio. And I
Yes.
just want to get to the bottom of this because I wonder if it's like certain parts of Brazil or is it Brazil, or is it the world? Like what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know, but yes, in Brazil, it's really common for men to cheat on women in their relationships. And I think it is because there is an old thought that the woman I have at home is sagrada.
So, saint. She's a saint.
She's a saint, like a saint.
Yeah.
She take cares of me. She's the mother of my son. She's nice. I'm not going to do with her what I really want to do because for that I have that kind of woman, the street woman, not not the woman we pay, but other woman that is not to marry. We have this kind of man for that women for marriage and women for having fun. So they don't want to give up from having fun and they don't want to give up of committing because socially it's wanted for men to have a family and provide and everything at some point in their lives. And they want both of words, but they don't realize that you can have fun with your wife. She's free, she's independent, she's nice, right? Sex is not something you do properly with your wife and not properly. You can talk to her, you can ask her, you can discover her body with her and everything.
Well, you know what's interesting? In English, we have an expression. It's called the Madonna whore syndrome. So Madonna is the mother and whore is a whore. And you either a Madonna or you're a whore. A Madonna, a woman you marry, a whore, a woman you sleep with. And it's exactly this. It's kind of like you're this woman that I'm with. But also I find, is it that also I find I'm originally Russian, and in Russia we have this big issue with men cheating a lot, and I think, and I'm sure actually the reason is because there's so many women, so many beautiful women, and Brazil of course is popular for the fact that there are so many beautiful women that really take care of themselves, and they want to put in the effort into looking beautiful and sexy. So is it also the fact that there are so many options of women, like, oh, I don't want to stay committed because there's so many girls. And also Brazilians are they're comfortable with flirtatiousness. They're comfortable with socialization, and they don't have any issues with like British people, they don't need to get drunk to talk to a woman. They can go up and talk to a woman. So I find that, do you think that also adds to that, where it's like, as a man, I can talk to anybody. I can flirt with anybody. We have this strong culture of going out and dancing and being close to each other. So maybe cheating is more, I don't want to say normalized because it's not normalized, but it's easier to get. It's easier to get closer with someone.
Yes, I think it's easier because you just can go out and you are going to find someone and some party and something to do all the time. It's summertime. Everybody's wearing less clothes, so everybody's sexy. I don't know, maybe that. But I think this belief that my wife is a saint and I need to have fun, I'm not going to have fun with her because there's not a match between mother of my children and fun. She can't have fun. She's a mother. She's taking care of the home. She needs to be there. She's not going to be sexy because she's a mother. She's taking care of the home. She's a housekeeper and everything. They can't see that a woman can be everything. I can be a mother. I can have a career, I can take care of my kids, I can be a good wife, and also I can have fun. I can have free sexuality, fluid sexuality if I want to. And men, they just don't talk to their wives or girlfriends about that, because if they do, this woman is going to lose her value for them. She's not marrying girl anymore. She's going to become a horn, as you said. I don't like this term, but that's what they think.
Do you think it's because of like a strong religious background that Brazil has? Because Brazilians, they're seen as very open and very sexual, but they're still Catholic, right? So it's maybe, is it that? It's like, well, there's a pressure to get married, so we must, if we're going to go get into a relationship, the goal is to get married. It's not to live together for many years as maybe Europeans do, but it's like to be serious with someone. So is it that they're getting married because there's like a pressure, and the pressure to maybe have kids or something, and then, well, then I can go ahead and seek fun somewhere else?
Yes. Well, we need to, it's important to know that Brazil is a colonized country. And as a colonized country, it's a new country. A religion is very important here. I'm not a religious person, but we have a religious thought, religions thinking about the world, about our roles in society and everything. So we are open, we have carnival, we have naked women dancing on the streets on carnival, what people from outside see that's fine. We have this. But we are a conservative country. It's weird to say that when you think about carnival and Rio de Janeiro and not feel clothes and everything. But in our heads, we are conservative. We have the time for fun, and then we have to find someone to marry, have kids, grow, and everything. And because of that, I think men have this thinking of classifying women, and they are stuck it. They're stuck in that, while women are developing their thinking to, why is this my role? I need to be a housekeeper, a mother, and that's it. No, I want to be that, but I also want to have a career and have fun, have a sexuality and everything. So I think we are religious, and we have a religious thinking, actually.
Yeah, I find this really funny as well because correct me if I'm wrong, but for example, in the beach cities in Brazil, it's common to see women wearing really tiny bikinis,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very rare, and I've never seen anyone actually naked. Like you would never see a woman with her top off. Have you? Is this something you see
No,
in Brazil? Exactly. So
you
there's
can go arrested if you do that. Actually,
but this I find is such an interesting, a completely crazy double standard because women are supposed to be incredibly sexual. Like you can see everything, but you don't see them topless. Whereas like if you go to Germany, there's that 60-year-old woman lying on the beach with her body parts all over
yes.
the place, and that's totally fine because there I think it's not considered sexual. It's just nudity, is whatever. You can lie nude in the park, you can go into the changing room and shower with men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone to a nude sauna in Germany. Just it was very strange, but it's something that is like normal. And also women, as you said correctly, like there, women can have sex with many men, and then that's totally fine. It's like she's not supposed to be a saint before she gets married. But in Brazil, there's such strong emphasis put on the woman being sexual. Or that she's like the media, like portraying women with like those shows where they show the butts and the body parts and measuring butts. I remember there was a show where they measured women's butts, but then it's also a very religious country in the sense that, like, you're right, it's very interesting. There's a time for fun, and then there's a time to get serious. Once you're in a
Yes.
relationship, then it's very serious. It's like you're together, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that? What do you think about this, like the double standard kind of way?
Yes, I think it's a part of Brazil that people don't know, actually. And I think it's important for women outside of the country to know that it's not a safe country for women to come without knowing that it's dangerous for them with men. Because you said you can see tiny, tiny bikinis at the beach, but at the beach. You are not going to see that in a shopping mall or something, and you're not going to see that in a topless. You're not going to see women in a topless. Actually, you can go arrested if you do that. Someone can call the police, and someone will call the police, and you will be always wrong. always wrong, because when a woman is raped, raped,
Raped.
raped,
Hmm.
yes. Here in Brazil, it's sad what I'm going to say, but people always ask about her reputation. Okay, but what was she wearing?
Mm.
What was she doing? Why was not she at home? Why? Well, she might be said something or make the band believe that she wanted something. It's not possible. This guy, he's nice to me. He's kind. He's beautiful. He's a public reference, or he has a career, or he's a father. He was not going to force her if she didn't show him she wanted something. So I think we don't do topless, because if something happens to us, someone's going to say, well, she was asking for that because she was not wearing a top bikini. We still think about this here in Brazil. Even women, some women, we can see this kind of thinking because of this classifying stuff to marry, to have fun. Some women say, no, no, I don't want to be the fun girl. I want to be the marrying girl because I want to be serious. I want a man to take care of me. And blah, 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 blah. So we have this conservative thinking. And when you see on TV these buttons and everything, and it's not. It can look like that is a women dependent thing, but it's not. It's objectifying women to take men attention, to be watched on TV and everything. So it's not freedom, actually, it's a prison.
How does that affect women from the clients that you worked with, like the media portrayal and the expectation that you must, not that you necessarily must be sexy, but Brazil, like being sexy, you get noticed. Do you think that women really struggle with that they need to look a certain way, or they need to always, need to get plastic surgery, or they're not going to find a man because they look like this, like that?
Yes, yes. Because of that, of classifying people, and because it's a summer country all the time, we are not wearing too much clothes all the time. And social media, as you said, Brazilians love to be on social media. We have a lot of comparação, amor?
Comparison.
Comparison, yes, between each other. And it's a plastic surgery country as well. I have a plastic surgery because, yes. So I think we have this culture pressure for having a very nice body, to be on shape all the time, to be good looking in our bikinis, to go to the beach, to have a summer body. And I have some clients that they are struggling since September because they want to go to the beach, they want to go to a swimming pool, and they don't feel comfortable with them bodies.
Hmm. And what's the perfect shape?
Flat belly, big bottom, great not top,
Yeah,
but
but well, we can say boobs because
boobs.
actually, I guess so. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
or
good
chest.
boobs or chest. Yes, not that big, but up chest, thin thin arms, nice legs with muscle legs, actually.
Oh.
Yes, and a great skin, no pores, a nose. My plastic surgery is on my nose with a tiny nose and everything. And nice hair, eyelashes all the time. We have this fixed eyelashes here in Brazil. We do that all the time. I don't like, but we spend a lot of money to look good with skin, body shape, hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, nails. It's a lot of time invested in looking good because it's believed that it increases our value as women.
Yeah. I think there's such a competition in terms of women. And what I really, I
Yes.
guess what I find hard as well is for women that are, let's say, even if they want to meet a foreigner because they don't like dating in Brazil, the foreigners that come to Brazil are also not the ones that are there to find, or if they are to find something serious, they're gonna have tons of fun and really like take advantage of the stereotype of the country, which is like,
Hmm.
oh, all the women are so sexy and they're so beautiful. So you get a lot of kind of, I don't want to say everyone that goes to Brazil is a creep, or but you get a lot of that. You get a lot of the sex tourism type of men that come just to have fun, you
Yes.
know, and women that go to Brazil as well. Obviously, I once did it was a cruise from Barcelona, and it was to Brazil, and we had a lot of Europeans on our cruise, and it was the men that were there were the ones that were like from Germany or other parts of Europe or Americans, but they're the ones that really didn't like dating in their country, and of course they wanted to have the exoticness of the Brazilians or Latinas as well. And the
Hmm.
women were dissatisfied with the dating in their country because men don't approach, they don't make any move. And of course, Brazilians are the ones that will make the move. They'll invite you to dance, they'll chat you up, they'll make a move. They're like, they're not as timid when it comes to that. So it was a lot of people that were like lacking whatever they had in that country. And of course, Brazil is that utopia where you go when you're going to find something, sex or
Hmm.
love or fun. So that was really interesting. So I feel like it's really hard for Brazilian women. And I think you got lucky in the sense that you actually went to the UK and you met your husband there. And it wasn't like he came to Brazil specifically, oh, I want, Brazilian. I think the same issue happens with Ukraine. And like it used to happen with
Ah,
Russia
yes.
when Russia was open, where we used to have these romance tours. And I've watched a documentary, and it was really disturbing because you have 60-year-old men,
Hmm.
60-year-old like wrinkly man coming to Ukraine, and he's going to a club, and you have Ukrainian girls, one beautiful, the second is beautiful, the third is beautiful, 20 to 30-year-old women, so desperate because the men were either alcoholics or the men were married. There's not enough men to choose from. And they're dancing at that club hoping to get attention. And you have 6-year-old men that start dating them and then saying, yeah, she was too old for me. I'm like,
Hmm.
she was 30, you're 60,
Yes.
and the girl is saying, oh, yeah, maybe he didn't like me enough because, of this and that. And it was so disturbing because if they stayed in their country, they would never ever ever be able to date a young beautiful woman, but because they're on foreign territory, they think they are some hot thing that now they can choose whoever they want. And
Hmm.
I always feel really bad for the women that are stuck in that situation, that have to do with those kind of men, because they're not the best men to go abroad.
Yes. Yes. It's really sad. Really
Yeah.
sad because they are vulnerable women, of course, seeking for a change, to change their lives, to leave something, to have some money, and money not just for ambitious purposes, but money to have a life, to study, to have access to food, to hospital, to health, to anything like that. They just go out to seek someone, some man that are going to provide that. And on the other hand, the men, they are looking for looking good girls just to take advantage from them. Because there's a study, I published that on my Instagram a few days ago, that shows uh, women interests for age while they are getting older. So a woman from 45 to 50 years old, they like men to from 50 years to 60 years old, like same age group actually. So it's common. While men, mo- the most they get older, their interest is always between from girls between 20 to 30 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a great difference, because I think women, they're looking for connection and talking and everything, while men, they are looking for good looking girls, youth, um, vitality or something like this, or ingenuidade. Ingenuidade. naiveness.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's something interesting. And I think that the part of it, I think it's like biologically, of course, women, we always look for status, and men look for biologically, can she give me women, right? So that was
Mhm.
like the big thing. But I think also the fact that a lot of men, they don't know what they're doing when it comes to like their 20s and 30s. And maybe they
Mhm.
don't have much luck with women. But as soon as they hit 40s and they're like really successful, they're like, well, now I can choose. And now I'm going to choose a trophy. I'm going to choose
Oh
the
yeah.
most beautiful women to prove to me that I'm still like a vital young man. I have it all together. I have it. I'm at the peak of life, you know? And that's why, you know, that there's these statistics where it's like men, they get married to women and they hit their 50s. And all of a sudden they get a new car and they get a girlfriend that's really like they start cheating on their wife with a really young woman. Like, so it's this like ego. It's like, oh no,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
getting older. No, I need a young woman because then I can prove to myself that I'm not getting older, that I'm
But
like
you
a man.
see, it's
Yeah.
problematic because
Yeah.
even when we think about this, we put car and woman side to
Yeah.
side, you know, like a possession and not a connection, not a human being that I'm going to connect with and build a life with and be my partner in this life. It's like I want a new car and I want a new woman. I want a very nice car, potent car that everybody is going to look at it and, oh my God, you were so nice. And a very nice woman that everybody's going to see, oh, you have a great possession here. So I think this is the problematic thinking behind of that, because men are looking for women to be part of their possessions, while we are looking for a man that's going to or provide us what I think is sad, because why do we need someone to provide us? Because of course we don't have the same access that men have in the world, or someone to connect with. And that's what I found in my clinical my clinical job, because that's what I see: women trying to connect to a man, to have a partner, to share their lives, to build something, while men, they are looking for someone that they can show, that they can have, that they can possess. And it's not nice, it's problematic actually.
I think it's the fact that men, they have a really big ego, and it's I think, yeah, and and yeah, and there is appeal in youthfulness. I get it, but at the same time, if you're 50 years old and she's 20 years old, what do you really have in common? You are in completely different stages of life. She's going out and partying. She's on her Instagram, you know, and you are like 50. I mean, you've done all that. You've been there. You've done the
Mm.
clubs. You've done that scene. You're no longer interested in that. My brother just recently, he's in the stage of breaking up with a girl, so he's 46 going on 18. He almost feels like he's not 46. And his girlfriend was 25.
Oh.
And it started out really well, as all things start. You know, you have great sex and there's so much energy and you're having so much fun. And but at the same time, they were always in completely different stages of life, and the values are really different. And 2 years later, that now became really obvious that they're like, hey, we have a 20-year difference. And it no longer started, like it was no longer working for them. So, and I think the issue now as well is like how superficial in general the world is becoming with like Instagram, or but yeah, with Instagram, with Bumble and Hinge and Tinder, like these apps, everything is going in the way of incredible superficiality, where we're not even giving people a chance anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about, oh, 3 seconds. How do you look? How tall are you? For women, mostly, we look at height, even though it doesn't
Yes.
really make such a big difference in a relationship. But we look at height and we look at other characteristics, and we disqualify someone in 2 seconds because, you know, it's, we have so many choices, but we're all single, and it's harder than ever to find a relationship because, as you said, we're not really connecting. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about the trophy, and it's all about proving to someone that, oh no, but it has to be the best of the best of the best. She has to
Mm-hmm.
be the most beautiful woman. She has to look like a model. And there's an illusion for any man that that's possible because there's so much choice. So it's like, even if I look like some ugly Danny DeVito actor, I can still get this beautiful woman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's gotten to that point, and I find it's becoming really, really sad society to date in as well.
Yes, yes. It's hard to find someone that really wants to connect with you, you know, because I think people adapt as well their speeches to get something that they want to. So what I see in my clients as well, they on Tinder or dating apps, they put that I want a serious relationship. That's what I am up to here. They find some men that say, okay, I want that too. That's okay for me. And when they are almost connecting, the man jumps out like, no, no, no. I never said I wanted something serious. I never said I wanted a relationship. And, I think they are just adapting to have something fast with a nice girl and then move to the other step, move to other thing. And so I think it's hard to trust when you are going out with someone new because of that too.
Yeah, and I suppose, as you said, like the clients that you have are mostly women, and they're mostly dealing with the fact that it is hard to find someone nowadays.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's really hard for them. I have clients that have been single for years now because they never get to connect to someone. Of course, they have some issues with self-esteem or self-image and everything, but I think there's a man problem. As I said in the beginning of our conversation, I think women, they develop it to be independent, to have a career, to have free sexuality and everything, and men, they don't.
They don't
They
measure up.
didn't keep up that with them. So what I like in being in a relationship with Fred, I think what I saw at the first time, that he's open to me as a independent person. He sees me as a person, not as a possession, not as a housekeeper for him that I'm going to take care of his life and everything. He shares his life with me. And it was so nice to be treated as a human being for someone with wishes and desires and thinking. It was very nice. And I think it's hard to find someone like this here in Brazil because, as I said, it's a conservative country with a religious thinking, a classifying women country, that women to marry, women to have fun. And I think some women find someone to connect with, and this guy doesn't see this girl as a human being. I think Fred, because he's British, because he was raised by a feminist woman as well, his mother is very feminist and nice, and I think he's more prepared.
I think that's something really great about when it comes to Europeans, Western Europeans, because as you've said, like he does look at you as a human being, like he looks at you as a person. You don't need to fill some sort of criteria. And I see the same in Eastern Europe as you see in Brazil, with men having an expectation of women. We call women weaker sex, the weaker sex, because they're weak, and there's some beauty to that originally, where like a man would offer you his hand and open the car door. I understand there's some beauty in that as well, but it's also like you're not really taken seriously. You're not, it's like, oh, I'll take care of you, I'll do this, but you're also, it's almost like you can't really be your own individual self a lot of times. And maybe it's changing. I mean, but at least this is kind of the perception. And I really like this about Western European guys and Americans and Canadians. I think this is very similar to it, to British guys as well, that there is like, you can be a bit older as well. And you can have your own independent set of, interests in life. And it's not right away, oh, but how many guys did you sleep with? Because of course you've had a dating life. Of course you've lived a life. It's not like you're going to wait until marriage for years and you're like until you're 30 sitting at your house and just, when am I going to find a man so I can have sex? Like that's also, women are allowed to have a life before they meet someone.
Yes.
And I feel like nowadays there's such anger being like shown towards women that are talking about their dating experiences. We had a girl and she talked about the Brazilian girl. We asked her, what are your favorite cultures to date and your least favorite? And she said something, oh, like this culture I like and this culture I didn't like. Two cultures.
Mm-hmm.
The comments were, she's a big slut.
Oh.
She has slept with so many guys. She has literally named two cultures. And the girl is maybe 30 years old. She's obviously had some experience. So I find it's such a weird way to look at it, because I think, yeah, we're not talking about someone who is an escort. We're talking about a regular person who is
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have a life. So I do think it's I'm not encouraging all Brazilian women to go and look in Western Europe, but
No, no, please don't.
but I think sometimes getting out of your culture does help a lot, because people are so stuck in their culture, like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
impossible to find someone here. But maybe you don't relate to your culture very well. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not the best place for you to find your partner. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just looking somewhere else, it can give you so many other options.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I would like to say something to the guys that are listening to us. Please open the door. Be gentle. Give us your coat when it's cold. There's no problem. We are not complaining about that. But when you do that, don't do that because we can't do, or because we are weak, or because we need that. Do that because you care about us, because you want to be nice, because it's gentle to do something for someone you like, for someone you care about. And you don't need to stop doing that. That's nice. That's the good part of being a nice guy. But stop thinking about us as a possession. If you just want to say something to us, or you want to have sex with us, that's fine. Do that, but don't do that because you want to own us or possess us. Do that because it's nice, because you're going to connect, you're going to build something together. I think this is the thinking that should be changing, and I think this is the problem here in Brazil. Men are thinking, oh, okay, women are independent now, so I don't need to pay the bill anymore. Great, I'm going to have more money. I have more money to go out with a lot of new girls because I don't have to pay the bill anymore. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not paying or not paying the bill. It's about taking care of us as a human being that you care about, it's nice.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. I do see a lot of those comments with men being like, "Well, you fought for feminism, so we're not going to pay you a coffee." Okay, what?
What?
It's very extreme. It's like, "Oh, you have your own money, you want to be independent, well then pay for your own coffee." It's a lot of anger in that. And as you said, being a gentleman isn't about expectations, like, "Oh, I'm doing this, so she sleeps with me." It's just about, I had a nice time with you. Let me grab this. And I think there are women that take advantage of that in terms of like, oh, let's go to the most expensive restaurant. But
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the women, and good high quality women, they're not there to exploit you. They just want to see a gentleman. It's not about paying some expensive dinner. It's just about, hey, we went out. Just, I want to feel like I'm with someone who is a gentleman, someone who is someone who can take care of me as well. Just because you're independent doesn't mean that you don't need someone to take care of you sometimes. I think that's such beauty. I think we're both similar but different. Because women have more of a feminine energy, men have more of a masculine energy. Again, very general, of course. Not everyone lives up, kind of works within that. But I think it's really nice when a man can he'll say, "Oh, don't worry, I got it," because I think it's just it's a very basic courtship. It's just knowing that you have someone there who's going to be your strong shoulder in the times of need. And I think that men need to realize that that's not going away for most women. We still would love that. We just want to
Yeah.
be able to be independent and not specifically, not, to be considered and to be respected. And that's it.
Yes, and I can be the strong shoulder sometimes. That's no problem. But sometimes you can be as well. It's not because I am a feminist, I'm independent and everything, that I don't need support, that I don't need a strong shoulder sometimes, that I don't fall sometimes, that I need someone to pick me up, to take care of me. That's fine, but not because I'm a woman and I'm weak, just because I'm your partner in life. Um, that's what I expect for someone that's sharing a life with me. That's why we share a life, isn't it? To take care of each other, to make life easier, to have someone that understands you, that validates you, that take cares of you. I can do this role sometimes, and I do it very well. But sometimes I want someone to do that for me. Well, that's what I think is the successful of my relationship with Fred, because we take care of each other, we see each other, we are seen by each other, we love it. And both of us, we respect our limits, we respect our cultures too, we understand. And I think I grew up a lot dating with Fred, because I had an open eye for a new type of living a life, a new type of viewing the world and everything. And now I can stop and try to understand something that he's seeing, because it can be different from what I'm seeing. Because the culture pressure is about that. It directs your eyes to something or to another thing. So we can be watching the same situation together, but he's going to feel something and I'm going to feel another thing, because we grew up in different cultures. So we have different point of views of the same thing. And I think this is really nice. It was something that made me grow a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much for well finishing the interview on such a beautiful a note. I think this was a perfect ending and really something that I think people would really learn a lot from. I think the fact that you have a partner from a different culture, as you said, it's so interesting to see the world through someone else's lens as well. And like if you
Yes.
communicate, it's interesting to learn about that. And thank you so much for taking part on the podcast. It was really interesting to hear this from you as someone who not only works in psychology but also you have this intercultural relationship, and also for me to dive deeper into the Brazilian culture, because again, I don't want to work with stereotypes. I want to actually understand what are Brazilians all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a little bit more about that and how people are and what issues as well they struggle with.
Yeah, it's a huge country, as I said, with lots of states. I think it's 27 nowadays, 27 states with different cultures, different point of views. Um, yeah, it's really different to see that. And for my work, it's important to see that, because after the pandemic and everything, I have lots of clients from the different parts of Brazil. They have different perspectives of life, of seeing things, different types of communication. Of course, as a country, we are we are an extrovert culture, of course, but each state works in a different way of watching and seeing things. And being in a relationship with Fred helped me to see that too, because in my day life, I need to struggle with cultural differences and different ways of feeling the same situation, different point of views, and we have to manage this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be together, or we would spend the whole life arguing with each other to make sure he's going to see things from my point of view, because this is the correct point of view. And no, we have two points of view in this house, and they both are correct. But I am correct most of the times, of course.
Of course.
Of course. Just joking.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And where can people check you out?
Well, I'm on Instagram. It's OiGabiPC.
Amazing. So I'm going to link to it, guys. If you speak Portuguese, this is perfect for you.
Yes, and can I ask people to follow my husband too, because he has this Instagram that he shows the cultural differences between Brazil and England. Actually, it's called Parada Inglesa.
Parada Inglesa.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to link to it below as well, guys. So go to the description if you're watching this from YouTube. If you're watching this from Spotify, you can also go and check out the description, and same for Apple Podcasts. So thank you, Gavi. Thank you, Gabriela. It was super nice chatting to you, and have a wonderful day. And guys, for everyone else, stay tuned for next week's podcast.
Bye. Thank you. It was very nice.
Ciao, ciao. How do you say
Ciao.
bye in Brazil? How do you say bye? Adeus?
Ciao.
Ciao. Oh, ciao.
Ciao.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.